What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a look at Starter Deck 13, and we need to ask the question, was this a mistake? Now, I'm not talking about Starter Deck 13 as a whole. Starter Deck 13 was awesome. Starter Deck 13 gave us 3 new leaders, a Luffy of which at least has ended up being a real top tier deck. And, you know, I showed you a winning list of the Sabo the other day as well. It's getting out there in Japan a little bit. No, I'm not talking about the starter deck as a whole. I like the starter deck as a whole. I'm talking about the promo pack. The promo pack that gave us these versions of the leaders. You see, when you bought Starter Deck 13, you got yourself a little promo pack. And that promo pack had 3 cards in it, which were just, as I like to call it, monochrome versions of the regular cards, and all the cards bar the event cards were available in said promo pack. And that promo pack has caused some issues. Because right now, if I want to go and buy, let's say Starter Deck 12, let's say I want to go and buy Starter Deck 12, I can go and buy Starter Deck 12 all day long. It is readily available pretty much everywhere. Honestly, it's not particularly hard to get hold of. If I want to go and get Starter Deck 14, same kind of deal, pretty readily available. It's all over eBay. You might pay a couple bucks over retail, but it's generally pretty easy. All right? But Starter Deck 13, that has become a little bit of an issue. And yeah, partly the fact that it is a really good starter deck, obviously. And there's a lot of cards in there that people want, understand all of this. But a bigger issue here is the fact that it is a deck which comes with this promo pack, which means you need to keep going. Whereas normally you buy 2 copies of the starter deck, 2 copies so that you get a full play set of all the cards that only come as 2 of in starter decks, that's standard. But then you would stop after that. You don't, ladies and gentlemen, you don't. And if we go and have a look at Starter Deck 13 over on eBay right now, it's not the same, honestly. If we look at the last couple of sold over on eBay for sealed versions of the deck, we can actually see that nature is healing, just a little bit. Now, I'm not saying it's readily available at retail or anything like that, but of course, the retail for Starter Deck 13 was about $35, and you can find, if we look at these couple of listings on eBay, one of which is clearly way too high, because someone's trying to sell it for $63, the one next to it is $33. Ignore the shipping, it's how much shipping would be to me in the UK. But I have found over the past, really since it was released, getting hold of this deck has been a little bit of a pain. I'm not finding it in shops anywhere near as often as I'm finding the other starter decks. In fact, I'm almost never seeing it in shops. When I'm finding it in online stores, it's generally inflated more than the others. And like I've said, you can sometimes find it over on eBay, but you'll notice that it's not always as easy to find as some of the others. But it is still out there. To be fair, and like I'm seeing it on here, it is there. And this is several months in. This is when things are starting to get quite a bit better. If we have a look over on TCG Player at the deck as a whole, we started off with about $80, and then it's been kind of flicking around $40, and you see it's now creeping back up again. The market price is up to about $48. And the reason is we've got these promo packs. Like I've told you, I'm not going to pretend it's impossible to find, and I'm not going to pretend that it is ridiculously expensive everywhere. I showed you an eBay listing where it is available, where you can find it out there on eBay right now for a decent price. But this is several months in where things have gotten a little bit better. What about the individual promos? Because we need to have a look at the individual promos, because these are also, shall we say, getting up there just a little bit, depending on the card. The two highest ones we've got here are Luffy and Ace, which according to TCG Player are like $20 cards, which admittedly, it's not horrendous, but it's still more than half the price of the deck. And to be clear, that's the leader Luffy that sees a bunch of play, and the character Ace. The character Ace right now is like a $9 card on TCG Player, and that's the regular version, not the monochrome version. We've got the character Luffy that comes in at about $12, the Monkey the Garp that comes in at about $11, the Sabo Leader that comes in about $10, Sparrow for the Port is the Ace Leader that comes in about $8. There we go. And, you get 3 of these in your starter, in your little promo pack. Now, worth pointing out, this is still better than it was over in Japan. Because over in Japan, we saw 1 extra card. When you bought this deck over in Japan, you got exactly 1 extra card rather than the 3 that we get. Obviously, we've got the much better end of the deal here. If you want to try and get the Japanese version of this, it is, shall we say, a little bit worse. You just get fewer of the promo cards, and people want the promo cards, which means that you need to try harder to get them and all of that. Now, I will say there is, of course, another version of the leader cards. In 7-Eleven in Japan recently, they went and released these other versions of the cards, and that's kind of nice, honestly, because now it means that they're more available. There's other versions out there. You don't necessarily need the promo pack versions from Starter Deck 13. You can go and use the 7-Eleven versions and then be happy about that, which is really rather lovely. And we're not talking about a terrible thing here. However, this kind of occurred to me when we were looking at, what One Piece went and showed off recently over on their Twitter. They went and showed off the new starter deck, and they did mention that they are getting promo packs in them. And the first comment, why are there extra boosters? Do you want a reprint of Starter Deck 13? Because that's how you get a repeat of Starter Deck 13. Now, I did reply to them, and I did mention in the video the other day, it's not actually promo packs like Starter Deck 13 here. These are literal boosters of PRBO1. Although, as I mentioned in that video, they're 2 weeks early. So the fact that we're getting PRBO1 in here 2 weeks early is genuinely bizarre to me. I kind of like it, but I'm also very, very worried here that we're just going to see a bunch of people buying the starter decks so that they can get early PRBO1 for, being the first one to sell cards or grade cards or whatever. That could be a little bit annoying. But clearly there are a lot of people out there that when Starter Deck 13 came out were having trouble getting it. I had trouble getting Starter Deck 13 when it first released. And like I've said, on eBay right now, it is becoming a bit more available, and that's lovely. And, the singles of those promo cards, they go from like $20 down to, the cheapest one, and I'm sorry to anyone that pulled this, Curly the Dan. 36 cents. The Shanks is also a $1 card. Sorry about that. The others are all at least $2, but Curly the Dan 36 cents and Shanks $1. If anyone pulled both of those in their pack, you have my sympathies, because that is about the worst case scenario. And here's the thing. I love these cards. I think they're brilliant. I think they're lovely. I think this was a great idea. And I love that you get this great little bonus for buying a starter deck. But it did make things awkward, initially at least. Although, like I say, things do seem to calm down a bit. And we know it's happening again, incidentally. We know Starter Deck 21, the Gear 5 Luffy starter deck. We know that they've got promo packs in there, just like it was in Starter Deck 13. That is not new or unforeseen. And I worry that at least initially this makes it difficult for the starter deck to get hold of for a lot of people. And I figured we'd have a chat about this because I saw that comment there this morning and I remembered back to when Starter Deck 13 released. And a lot of people were, shall we say, not terribly happy. So I thought it would make a nice little discussion, but I want to know what you think about this. Do you love the promo pack in Starter Deck 13? Do you think it might have been a mistake? Were you struggling to get Starter Deck 13 on release? Or did you just go down to your local game shop and find it and don't know what all the deal's about? Because certainly right now, if you are trying to get hold of Starter Deck 13 in shops in the UK, you will pay a pretty penny. But certainly over on eBay, there are some around. But now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.